Hey there gardeners, welcome to my channel. If you're new to gardening or just built a raised bed, you might be wondering, how do I decide where to plant everything? Don't worry, I've got you covered. In today's video, I'm walking you through how to plan and plant your raised garden bed step by step. We'll talk about spacing, crop height, sunlight, and even square foot gardening guidelines so your bed can be as productive as possible. And then I'll take you along with me as I plant up this same exact garden bed. If you're new here, hello and welcome. My name is Jara. I've been gardening all of my life and I'm a professional seed and plant nursery. I love to share my knowledge and teach others how to garden and grow food. So you've come to the right place if you want to improve your gardening skills. I completely cleaned out this entire section of my garden. This raised bed with a trellis behind it is now a blank canvas ready to be planted up. For reference, this bed is 8 foot by 3 foot and it has a cattle panel trellis installed behind it so I can grow some things vertically. So let's talk about some of the things you should take into consideration to properly plant up a raised garden bed. And a lot of these tips can be applied to in-ground gardening as well. The first thing to consider is sunlight. Observe your garden throughout the day to figure out how much sunlight your raised bed gets. Most veggies like tomatoes, peppers, and cucumbers need 6 to 8 hours of direct sun, so position those in the sunniest part of your bed. Leafy greens like spinach and lettuce can tolerate partial shade, so you can tuck those into shadier spots. If you're working with limited sunlight, stick to crops that are more shade tolerant. And just so you know, it is best to orientate garden beds or rows north to south to ensure that they get the most amount of sunlight possible. Sometimes you don't really have a choice though, like with a small garden, or if you can't change the space, like what I have here. This space is a very long rectangle right up against my house, and there's nothing I can do about it. So you just have to make do with what you can. But ideally, beds and rows should run north to south. Next, think about the height of your plants. Taller crops like tomatoes, trellised cucumbers, or pole beans should go on the very back side of the bed. This way they won't cast shade on the smaller plants that are in front of them. Medium height plants like peppers or bush beans can go in the middle of the bed, and shorter plants like carrots or radishes should be more towards the front. Layering the height of your crops helps to maximize sunlight for all of them. I almost always have some sort of a vertical trellis at the back of all of my garden beds so I can grow at least one type of vining crop and it won't shade out the things growing out in front of it. Another thing that I like to do is plant vining types of squash like Seminole pumpkin or patty pan squash on the edges, especially the corners of the bed, so the roots will go down into the soil but the vines will spill out and ramble around the bed. It just helps to maximize the space a little bit. Spacing is super important for healthy plants and big harvests. Each crop has its own spacing requirements. Check your seed packet or plant tag for recommendations. Giving plants enough room prevents overcrowding, improves airflow, and reduces the risk of pests and diseases. For example, carrots should be planted about 3 to 4 inches apart. This gives the roots room to expand in the soil without bumping into each other. Tomatoes should be planted at minimum 1 foot apart, but if you can do 2 or 3 foot apart, even better. This is because tomato plants produce a lot of foliage. If planted too close together, then there is not good airflow, the leaves can't dry quickly, and that becomes a breeding ground for lots of pathogens that cause diseases to proliferate and then spread throughout your garden. If you want to make the most of your raised bed, try using square foot gardening. The idea is to divide your bed into square foot sections and plant based on how many of each crop can fit in that 1 square foot space. For example, 1 square foot can hold 16 radishes, 9 spinach plants, or 1 tomato. It's an easy way to maximize your space and stay organized. I have a list on my website, which I will link in the description, that explains how many of each crop category can fit into 1 square foot for reference. I really loved square foot gardening guidelines when I got started gardening. It just makes a lot of sense. Another tip is to group plants with similar watering and nutrient needs together. For instance, tomatoes and peppers really love consistent watering and lots of nutrients, so plant those together side by side. On the other hand, some crops like lettuce and kale do better in partial shade and just need a lot of nitrogen to grow lush leafy greens. Herbs grow a lot better in drier soils, so I have a tendency to plant my herbs together in grow bags or raised garden beds that have better soil drainage. Things in the allium family like garlic, onions, and leeks all grow best in full sun and have similar nutrient requirements as well. By organizing the garden in groups based on similar needs, you're able to control the growing conditions just a little bit better. If you're planting in a bed you've probably used before, keep crop rotation in mind. Avoid planting the same crop or family of crops in the same spot year after year. Rotating crops helps prevent soil depletion and reduces the risk of pests and diseases that target specific plants. For example, my tomatoes get blight every time I grow them. This fungus spreads via spores and particularly loves warm, wet, and humid environments, which is exactly what I have here in my Florida garden. The spores build up and survive in the soil for many years. If I keep planting tomatoes tomatoes in the same spot, that pathogen builds up and builds up so that it causes more severe infections with each planting of tomatoes. You should not plant the same type of crop in the same soil for 3 years, ideally. I know that can be difficult, especially if you have a small garden. A trick that I use is to plant in the ground and then the next season cover that soil with weed blocker material like what you see right here, which will heat up the soil underneath over time and kill some of the pathogens. In the meantime, I install some temporary grow bags like these right here and grow more tomatoes. So that is exactly what you see here. Last year I grew my tomatoes in the ground in this same exact area. After the season was over, I cleaned out the entire space and I covered it with this weed blocker material. It was also full of weeds and crabgrass, so this kind of helps control it for a little bit anyways. Now it's the next tomato season, so I installed rows of grow bags with new soil. That is key. It cannot be the same soil the tomatoes grew in last year. I just filled these grow bags with the cheapest compost I could find. Then I planted the tomatoes and you see what you see right now. This is another raised bed that I have. This one is 12 foot long by 4 foot wide. Don't forget to leave space to access your plants. You'll need to weed, water, and harvest, so make sure you can reach every corner of your bed without stepping on the soil. You don't want to step or walk over this growing space because that causes compaction. It's best to have some defined walkways between your garden beds or rows. Trust me, one year I really tried to cram in a lot of rows with about 2 feet of walking space in between them. It was super difficult to move around once all the plants were grown in and mature in size. And the worst part of it, it was impossible for me to push my wheelbarrow through the rows, which was a nightmare when I could not wheel in wood chips to mulch the entire area, so I had to shovel it in by hand. Also, I find for the average person, a width of 4 foot max is perfect. You can make the raised bed as long as you want, but 4 foot wide is ideal because I can be on one side and reach all the way through to the other side. I had garden beds wider than 4 foot and it was super annoying. I couldn't reach out to the other side, so I had to move around a lot more than I would like. Might sound lazy, but when you have a huge garden and you're trying to be efficient, it's not a well-designed situation. If you're an extra tall person who can reach further in, then you can make your beds a lot wider. Okay, so come with me as I plant up this raised garden bed. I like to start with marking my rows or square foot gardening squares. I'm going to divide this bed into rows that are spaced 12 inches apart. Then I take all of my seeds and plants and divide them into piles based on height. So my very tall vining crops like pole beans, cucumbers, melons, peas, and indeterminate tomatoes go together in one pile, so I know those have to be planted at the very back. Also, very tall crops like corn, which typically gets to a height of 6 to 8 feet tall, would go in the back as well. I make a pile for medium height crops. I would say those that get no more than 3 foot tall at maturity. So that's things like peppers, most kales, some dwarf tomatoes, carrots, large bulbing onions, leeks, broccoli, and Napa cabbage. I'll make a pile for small sized crops, those that get around 1 foot tall at maturity, like lettuces, radish, and bok choy. I make another pile for anything that I will plant on the edge so the plant matter can spill over and grow out around the raised bed. That is mostly vining squash like Seminole pumpkins, zucchini, patty pan squash, and melons like watermelon and cantaloupe. Lastly, I make a pile for herbs. I like to bunch those together in areas where the soil can stay extra dry, or reserve them for planting in grow bags. I put down this black weed blocker material as a way to extend the growing space beyond this raised bed, because I will put a row of grow bags right in front and leave this area as the walkway. It also helps block weeds from growing into my raised garden bed, since this is all lawn with aggressive Bermuda or crabgrass. One more thing I need to mention, and that's flowers. Separate the flowers per height as well. I am direct sowing seeds for this entire area, and the type of crops I'm planting are better suited for an early spring garden. If you're a new gardener, direct sowing seeds is a little easier than babying containers with transplants. Plus, seed sowing is a skill set on its own. So I didn't want to complicate things, especially for those of you that are new and watching this. Direct sowing seeds is usually the best way if you can do it, because the plants grow a lot faster. However, there are some instances where you can't direct sow, like when rabbits or other critters are eating up the seeds you plant in the ground, or worms quickly find the seedlings and munch them down. This especially happens with cucumbers and squash. Maybe you wanted to get an early start on the season, so sowing seeds indoors would be best, or the thing you're trying to grow has weird requirements to germinate or can just be a little fussy, like celery requiring light to germinate, or peppers needing extra warm soil to germinate, stuff like that. It's a good idea to sow seeds indoors so you can just control the environment a little bit better. Anyways, I'm gonna get to sowing the seeds. I'll show you some of what I'm planting up so you get the idea. I drew a map of my growing space and wrote where I'm planting each crop, so you will see me referring back to this really really huge crafting paper pad while planting. If you want to see the final layout or design with dimensions and the names of the crops and things I planted in this bed, I'll link it in the description just in case you want to analyze it a little more closely or duplicate it at your home in your own garden. I always like to start planting at the back and then work my way forward. In the back here, I'm planting peas, some Green Arrow sweet shelling peas. These will overtake this entire trellis, and in about 2 months, I will be harvesting. So very quick seed to harvest type of crop. For peas, I dig a shallow trench right under the trellis, sprinkle the seeds in, and cover it with about 1 inch of soil. You can use square foot gardening guidelines, which says to plant 9 pea seeds per square foot, but this is a crop where I find from experience, you can bend those rules a little bit and really cram them in. I'm not going to waste my time fussing over perfect spacing for this. I also do the same thing with vining or pole beans and cucumbers. I'm direct sowing a mix of medium-sized crops in this row. It's a combination of mustards, chicory, radicchio, celtis, and Chinese celery. I am planting a few seeds every 12 inches because these crops get pretty wide. Now I'm sowing smaller sized crops. I made a shallow trench and sprinkled a few Chinese broccoli, Chinese celery, and huntasai, if I'm saying that correctly, which is a flowering type of mustard very similar to Chinese broccoli, and I'm spacing these 8 inches apart. Lastly, on the edge of this bed, I will direct sow some seeds for a bunch of lettuce, spaced 8 inches apart, and bunching onions planted in between. It's important to me that I grow a lot of lettuce this spring for my salads. After sowing 3 lettuces or so, I skip and sow some bunching onion seeds. Bunching onions are tall and thin plants that don't take up much space and will work well in between the lettuces. Plus, things in the allium family like onions and garlic repel pests. Lettuce attracts a lot of pests, so by interplanting some bunching onions, it will help deter them a little bit. Next, I'm going to direct sow seeds for some gray zucchini in the corner edge so it will grow out and fill this area. Then I'm going to add some flowers on the side edges in between the rows I made. I'm direct sowing some zinnias, agastache, and liatris because they will attract lots of bees and butterflies into this area to help pollinate my crops. I plant them on the edges because they do get kind of big, so that way I can push the plants over to grow outside of the raised bed. Lastly, I direct sowed some herbs in these grow bags, which I will set on the black weed blocker material. Since I'm in Florida and our environment is so wet, I really prefer to grow herbs in grow bags, which helps to keep the soil on the dry side. Herbs are easily susceptible to root rot if grown in consistently wet soil, so this helps a lot. I'm just sowing a huge mix of different herbs, whatever I like. When direct sowing seeds, it's super important that you keep the soil moist. If the soil dries out, you will have poor germination because water helps soften up the outer seed coat so the seedling can push through and germinate. Also keep the soil moist after germination so the seedlings don't dry out and die. Basically, you need to check on them every day and water if the soil is dry. All right, all done. That just took a few minutes. In about 2.5 to 3 months, this bed will be exploding with growth and production. Let's fast forward a little bit. It's now been 2 months and 1 week exactly since I direct sowed all of those seeds, and just look at how full and lush this garden bed is. My sweet shelling peas here are blooming profusely. They're starting to put on some pods, and I'll be harvesting fresh sweet peas in about maybe 3 more weeks or so. I have all these beautiful lettuces, all these different varieties here growing. They're lush. I've been harvesting from these for a couple weeks now and enjoying them in all of my fresh salads. Here is the celtis that I direct sowed the seeds. The stalks are starting to get really, really thick. I could probably start harvesting this one. So I'm impressed by how well this grew, especially for it being Florida and it's kind of hot here, but it's growing really great. This stalk right here is super thick. I'm gonna start harvesting this one. The row of the green onions here kind of didn't do too well. I mean, some of them did pop up and they are growing, but the leaves from the lettuce and the celtis and all these mustard greens and things definitely blocked out a lot of the sunlight, but just learn from it. I just pushed the lettuce leaves and the celtis and all these mustards kind of out of the way just to give them a little more sun, and I'll still get some growth out of some of them. So that's the only thing out of this whole bed and configuration that didn't turn out too well. But if you just push everything away, there is space. It just needed to get some light. And I wanted to show you the other side of the bed. This is the gray zucchini that I direct sow the seeds on the edges of the raised bed. So the plant mass will spill over and kind of grow over here, and it is starting to make its way to spill over. I keep pushing the plants kind of forward to get them to go in this direction. This variety is known to be very early producing from seed to harvest, and I have my very first one here ready for harvest. Zucchini kind of grows along a big stem that kind of just gets elongated. I like to call it a spinal cord because that's what it kind of looks like to me. So as that main stem continues to grow and get longer, that's where I start pushing the plants more and more to like grow out in this area here. But yeah, I'm super impressed. This bed turned out just gorgeous. It's full of so many different kinds of greens that I've been enjoying all spring season long. And if you want to grow any of the same things that you see in this bed, I probably have seeds on my website. I'll just link below in the description if I have any so you can easily find them. I hope these tips help provide you with some direction on how to begin analyzing your growing space and planting it up to maximize how much food you can grow. Don't forget to check the description for resources like a map of what I planted in this bed and square foot gardening guidelines. Please give this video a big thumbs up and share with your garden friends if you found it helpful. And don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss any of my gardening tutorials. Thank you for watching and happy gardening.